Kia ora koutou, ko Anthony Takawingawa. I'm Anthony Ritchie. I'm a composer and head of the School of Performing Arts here at Otago University. And I'm delighted that my songs are going to be part of this festival. The songs that I've written are entitled Exquisite Spirit. And this is how the editor and writer Middleton Murray described Catherine Mansfield in his notes to the publication of her poems way back in 1923 after her death. I thought that was a lovely title to use for the songs. So the first song is the three of them, and the first one is called To LHB, which is a dedication to Catherine Mansfield's brother, Leslie Heron Beauchamp, who died in active service during the First World War. The second poem, The Sea Child, is a mythical story about a sea mother who sends her daughter out into the world, to the darkling land, where she suffers alone, loses everything and comes back home. And the third song, Loneliness, is where loneliness is actually personified by an old woman who suffered through life and magically appears alongside the poet's bed at night to tell her story. One of the things I love about Mansfield's work is her symbolism and her personifications. There's sort of a childlike feel to some of the poems, as if seeing the world through a child's eyes, but with an adult sensibility. And that very much aligns with what I'm actually trying to do as a composer at the moment, exploring a naive style of music that can work on two levels. So essentially, that's what I've tried to achieve, capture some of the suggestiveness of Mansfield's poetry in my songs. So I hope you enjoy them.
Hello, I'm Nigel Kay. I'm a composer originating from New Zealand, living and working today in 2023 in France. I began composing my setting of Catherine Mansfield's poem Voices of the Year in July this year on the request of Sherry Grant, who wanted to perform the work with Tessa Romano in their Dunedin concert in September. Then, in mid-August, the cellist Martin Griffiths told me that he had a pressing need for a Catherine Mansfield song without words for an anniversary cello concert in Auckland on the 5th of October. So I told Martin that I could adapt my Voices of the Year for him to play with piano as an instrumental version. Even afterwards, the work continued to evolve. In France, I'd organised a programme for 2 concerts to be given in Avon, where Catherine Mansfield is buried, on the 14th of October. The theme of the concerts was Catherine Mansfield et la musique. I'd originally planned that Kayla Collingwood and Isabelle Dutel would perform the original voice and piano version. However, as the cellist Sebastian Ertur was going to be performing several works in the concert, including my prelude for cello and piano, this gave me the idea that I'd created a third version of my work, Voices of the Year, for voice, cello and piano. We concluded the concerts with Voices of the Year.
Kia ora, I'm Michael Norris, a composer and lecturer here at the New Zealand School of Music, and I'm the composer of the song In the Rangitaiki Valley. This is a song I wrote especially for Tessa Fraser and Sherry Grant, and it's the setting of a poem by Catherine Mansfield called In the Rangitaiki Valley. It recalls a trip she made in November 1907 when she was only 19 years old, shortly before she was to leave New Zealand, never to return. This trip was with some family friends that went from Hastings all the way through to Rotorua by caravan, and it followed the track of what is now State Highway 5. At a settlement about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way along called Rangitaiki, there is the Waipunga Falls, and they camped there for the night, and she remembered it being one of those very hot Hawke's Bay days where the boisterous wind was blowing and the heat was quite oppressive, and just all of the vegetation around her was in this constant motion, and this kind of shimmering energy she writes down in this language that's very romantic, but also very sort of exuberant and joyful, and yeah, you get a real sense of the kind of awe to nature that she was in at the time. Funny enough, she wrote this a couple of years actually after she took the trip, by which time she'd left. So I sort of wonder if there's a hint of nostalgia in there as well. I set it using this constant quaver motion in the piano, which is just always moving, but always sort of reconfiguring itself, and as if a sort of wind has blown through it and just shifted all the notes slightly. And over the top of that, the voice sings this very lyrical line, but that has some chromatic twists and corners in it. It was great fun to write, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Andrew Perkins. I've chosen to set 3 Catherine Mansfield songs for voice and piano: Very Early Spring, The Gulf, The Earth Child and the Grass. All these poems make use of the imagery of nature, which is what attracted me to these poems. These works offer readers insight into the complex nature of her relationship with men and women. For each song, I would recite the poem first, realizing its natural rhythms, create preliminary sketches. I would then analyze the sketch material and see which scale of formation I'm using. I don't use traditional scales, but I create my own scales. Then I isolate the important motifs I've created, and then I set the melodic line first. After that, I create, weave, if you like, an accompanying texture for piano around the melodic line, so that the melodic line becomes wrapped in the sound. This resultant texture is usually polyphonic. This compositional procedure is therefore very organic. The 3 songs in the very early spring, Mansfield personifies the sun as a male figure and the wind as female, interacting but remaining separate. Although each song is based on a different scale of formation, the 3 scales used for the 3 different songs share some common characteristics. The song in Very Early Spring is full of contrasting musical gestures, some strong and cool and others delicate and warm. And some of these motifs and ideas will appear in the other songs as well. In The Gulf, the lovers are separated by a vast gulf, but no mention is made of the identity of the two. The idea of bridging this gulf is usually viewed as a metaphor for Mansfield's constant searching for fulfillment in her life. In the music, the gulf is represented by the use of the extreme registers in the piano and the vocal part, and between the voice and the piano. An ever-shifting ostinato creates an air of tension in the music throughout the song. In The Earth Child and the Grass, the lovers are represented by the counterpoint between the voice and the piano part. The sensuous use of metaphor in the poetry, such as the green blades of grass and the move from coldness to warmth and from weeping to laughter, is likewise reflected in the music. I've also added another important witness to this musical scene in the form of a bird, and when you hear the music, you'll be able to hear the little bird in the piano part, making its presence felt, but it doesn't interact with the characters.